Hi everyone, this is Denise with Designs by Dana Denise, and this week's tutorial we are going to take, I've decided to do a mesh wreath instead of a grapevine since I've been mostly doing grapevines on my tutorials lately. And I'm going to take this mesh and make the base, and I am going to use this sign for my Easter. And the ribbons that I have chose are these 3 ribbons. I have that's a 1.5 wired green and kind of whitish, another 1.5 inch ribbon wired that is in white, and then I think this is a 5/8 pink ribbon in wired. I always use wired ribbon. And I have purchased all of these from Craft Outlet, and also the mesh came from Craft Outlet, and I believe the sign also did. So we're going to make a cute Easter wreath today in today's tutorial, and so let's go. Today I am going to do the puff method. I think it's called puff. If I'm wrong, I'll correct that in the text. I've got this mesh from Craft Outlet, and here is the item number. It is Poly Jute Metallic Mesh, item RY8018R8. It's 10.5 inch by 10 yards. Okay, and I haven't done the mesh or the puff method in a while, so this will be interesting to remember. So since the ends are kind of frayed, I always like to fold this over a little to kind of keep those inside. So I folded it a couple of times, and then I'm going to crunch it up like this. Okay, I'm going to go this way. This is the way I normally go. If you're right-handed, you probably want the mesh on your right-hand side. And then the other key is to really tighten your pipe cleaner around it. Really tight. Okay, so then I'm going to measure, which I could start over here on my board at the 1 to 10, but since I'm kind of working here in the middle, I'm going to do it a little different. So I'm going to measure 10 inches. So that's going to be right here. And if you don't have a mat like I have, a ruler will work. Just get your ruler, line it up 10 inches, and then that's going to be your first poof. And so you crumple it up in your hand, and you go to the very next outer pipe cleaner. And again, very important that you do it super tight, 2 or 3 times twist it. And then you've got your first poof. See if you can see that. So then we're going to do that again. Go, find 10 inches, crunch it, put it in the next pipe cleaner. And you've got your second poof. And I know it looks a little crazy, but it will get better, I promise. So then I'm going to line this up, do this again. And keep going all the way around till you get. Okay, I've gotten all the outer done except for I'm at the last one. Here was my start. There was my start. Here's the last one. So I am going to go ahead and do another 10 inches. And I'm going to put it in the same one that I started with. We don't want a gap there. So I'm going to put it in the very same one that we started in. Really get it tight. So now we've got the whole outer with poofs all the way around. So the next thing I'm going to do, so that we can move up to the inside row, where this is landed, if you can see, it's kind of good to start on a sidebar on the outside, because then there's always going to be a pipe cleaner on the inside. If you do not do that, if it turns out that you're getting ready to move up to your upper level, and let's say your pipe cleaner's way over here, just do a straight line of your mesh across, stick it in the pipe cleaner, and then start doing your poofs, and then finish off in that same one. But since this one, it's real clean to go upward, because I'm needing to get up here to start the middle, and we've ended on the sidebar. So all I have to do is take a little bit of my, I'm not going to make a 10-inch poof, I'm just going to make a really small little poof, and come up here and put it in that pipe cleaner. And that's where we're going to start there. So as you can see, I've went from here, and I just did a line of the mesh and put it in here. Now we'll start going around the middle. Do 8 inches because it's a smaller area that you're doing it in. You don't need the 10, you need to narrow it down a little bit. So do 8. So I need to do it right here. I teach classes on this, and I haven't taught a class doing this method in a while, nor have I personally made one like this in a while. I love the method, but I just haven't been teaching it or doing it for probably over a year. I'm just doing this for y'all's benefit, so you can see how it's coming together. Okay. And this isn't something that is exact, so don't get real petty about making sure it's 8 inches. Try to, though, so that you're consistent on your puffs. I mean, if you were just not really paying attention at all, you're going to have too big of puffs, they're going to be hanging everywhere, or you're going to have too small where they're not puffing at all. So that's why that's just kind of you don't want them too big of puffs, and you don't want them too little, and you want them consistent. Okay, so now I am back at the first one. I'm going to do my 8 inches. And I'm going to do it right back into that very first one that we started with on the inside. So it now has where we started on the inside, and it has the last puff on the inside. And this is what it should look like. And here, oh, I just about tripped over something. Okay, so now I make a decision. I have this much mesh left, so isn't that awesome? So scissors and cut. You could cut it, which I think that's what I'm going to do, is you cut this a little bit longer. Actually, that's okay. We'll just leave it like that, because we're going to fill in with cruffles. Okay, I have one of these little cute cutters, which I can put a link down in the description box. I got this from Amazon, and I'm going to cut the cruffles at 12 inches, and hopefully I have enough to do all 15 pipe cleaners. And if you do not have one of these cutters, that's fine. You can use scissors. I'll show you that too. So you do not have to have, you can have a ruler and scissors and do the very same thing that I'm doing. Okay, I had enough to do 14. So I'm going to suggest you narrow that down to 10-inch pieces for putting the cruffles on top of the puffs, because you never know how much you're going to have in a roll. Sometimes they have a little more, sometimes they have a little less. You may have done your poofs a little different, and so the measurement will be off a little. So I suggest that you cut them at 10 or 11 inches, and that way you get a 15. Now, if you come across this crisis where you're one less, it's not going to kill anything, because I'm going to put them on there. You probably won't even be able to tell where the one is missing. Plus, I have a big sign that's going to be going on top of this, so I'll just make sure that where that one is missing, if it's noticeable, probably won't be, I'll put it behind the sign, and then that way no one will ever know. And it's not going to affect anything about the wreath. So, the cruffles to our puffs. So how you do this is you do just like the cruffle method. You kind of fold it under on one end, and you can use a clothespin. Hold it down. You might have to put a little weight on it. Hold it down. Fold the other one over a little, and then work your way up in the middle to the clothespin, so that you have it's not going to be real full, but it's enough that when you put it in one of the pipe cleaners, it's going to fill in. Now, I also have another suggestion. If when you get through doing this, you can usually do this with one roll and it looks great and puffy, but you can always get real creative and add in some white. You don't have to just do one roll. A lot of times I use 1.5 rolls of mesh. So once we get through putting these in, if I think, I still need it to be a little bit more fuller, I don't want to see the frame. Yes, you're going to have ribbons over it, all kinds of layers, so you're probably not going to, but if you feel like you need more, you can always grab another roll of the same stuff and add more stuff, or you can get some white for this one, for instance. Get some white mesh and do ruffles in on it. But for right now, we're going to use these in right there. And we'll go around and continue. I'll do one more to show you, and then I'll finish them off and come back. So I folded it down, added a clip, turned it over, holding it down with something heavy. Folded it a little bit more, just a little bit, since these aren't very big. Cruffle them in the middle, and then put them in your... Okay, there it is. I do have one, of course, I told you that I am missing. So when I put my sign, I'll make sure I put my sign right there. So now we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and prep our sign and get it ready. So I'm going to cut this cord off, and then I will staple some pipe cleaners to the back. The reason I do the cardboard And by the way, the item number on this sign, if you're interested in this sign, is right there. And it's from Craft Outlet. And this is a wooden sign. It's 10 inches. So what I will do is I'm going to glue. I did not have my glue gun going, so I got to wait for it real quick. I will glue these to here. Okay, I have glued my 2 pieces of cardboard onto the back of my sign. And the reason I do that is that this one's pretty thick, but I just want to guarantee and make sure that when I staple these pipe cleaners to it, that they will not come through into the front and have holes in here. So that is the reason that I'm doing this. I'm going to staple a couple of times each pipe cleaner. And then I even add a little bit of glue to that too. So now we have our pipe cleaners stapled and ready to attach this sign. Next thing we're going to do, this is the green and white striped ribbon, is we are going to take our ribbon. These are both from Craft Outlet. Here's the other one, and it's a white. And we are going to cut it up into and this ribbon is kind of shimmery. It's really pretty. I don't think you can see the shimmers, but it would be a good ribbon for a lot of different things. Valentine's, Christmas. And I'm going to cut my ribbon tails that we're going to put in each one of these pipe cleaners. We're going to cut one of each color of these. And then I'm going to accent with a bow with the pink. We're going to cut these in 12-inch pieces. Now, I have a nifty little measurer. It's a wooden, and I bought it off of Amazon. And you can do all kinds of ribbons at once. So I can sit here and do this and cut it and have it done. I'm just going to cut a few, for example. Or you can cut them individually if you do not have this. And that works too. I did that for years. How you do a ducktail on the, I'm going to ducktail the ends, which normally I do a couple at a time or sometimes 3 depending on the thickness, is that you fold it in half, and where it's the fold side, you come down a ways on the fold side and you cut it up to the end, the corner, just like that. And you can see it on that white. And then you have a ducktail. So I cut all my ribbons, and then I make the ducktails. If you were needing to cut it just by using a ruler, if you had a ruler sitting there, you could sit here and cut them, each one. You could also get a piece of cardboard, measure it out 12 inches, and use it like I used this wooden one. Lots of options, depending how many times you want to make a wreath, if you want to go that far. Okay, so I'm going to finish cutting all these ribbons. Okay, I made a decision to do something a little different this time, and I have put my sign on the lower half of the wreath. And then I'm going to put my bow here, but I also haven't added my ribbon ties. So I obviously will not need 15 because I have hid some of them with the sign. So I just cut some to start. And what I do is I take one of each kind, put it together, fold them in half so I know where the middle is, and then I just start, I'm just going to go along the outer to start. I start adding them in, and then it comes a decision as if you want to spread them out, make a V out of them. Let me get this over here, you can see it. So there's my ribbon ties. I can either make both of them come out straight this way. I can move, you know, move them where they make like an X. I can, however you prefer for your ribbon ties to lay, that's how you do them. So you go around to each pipe cleaner and put what I just did in each one of the pipe cleaners. Okay, we have got all the tails on, and so now we are going to work on the bow. Got all the ribbon tails. Very pretty. Okay, I am cutting all of the zip tie. Once you get your, not zip ties, pipe cleaners. Once you get your ribbon tails all put in, you can cut your ends off of your, I just lost that pipe cleaner, there it is. You can cut them off and make them disappear down into the wreath. So I did one loop. I've got 2 loops. Another one. I need to put this on so it doesn't go everywhere. I just keep building it out to make sure our loops are the same. I'm just building as we go. Keep doing underneath so that it keeps the correct side of the ribbon on the outside. And another one on this side. Scissors. So this is what we have so far. And some white. Same as the ribbon tails. And do the same thing. Start with a tail. Just go right over the top of this. But I'm not going to do as many loops. So there I've done 4 loops. Add in some of this pink. This is the number. This is 5/8 pink. I'll give it a little more pink color here. Okay, so I've done 4 loops of that. And then I'm going to do, I'm going to do the white piece. I'm going to do a little loop in the middle to make a center. So there's the bow. You can see it. Get a zip tie. Put a pipe cleaner on the back so I have something to hook it to. And then zip tie all this together. And now we're going to put that on our wreath. Okay, so we now have the bow put on it. I've also had the tails, and I went ahead and instead of them just hanging down and going over the sign, I've kind of situated them. I'll probably mess with them some more. I took a pipe cleaner and put them in and kind of made a big loop right here and then added the little tails down there. So I'm going to continue to play with it. We'll see what else I do, if I do something different. And then I am going to, you could stop here, but I think it would be really pretty if we added some greenery and flowers. And so I have this bush. It is number 81580. I use this greenery a lot. I love it. It is a good filler, and I get it from Great Craft Outlet. And so I'm going to, and like I'm just going to kind of do it, stick some in here to kind of give you all an idea of what it looks like. And I'm just kind of cutting these stems up a little bit so that they're not real heavy to put in there. But general rule is you put it around like a pipe cleaner so you can kind of glue it in next to the pipe cleaner. Anyway, just kind of put it here and there throughout the wreath. And like I said, if you know me at all or have followed me at all, you know that I like to do dry runs. I think that's looking really good. I'm going to add some back in here because you want it to be even where people I just love this greenery. Put that in there. Kind of break that bow up a little. And if these are pushers, what I do is I give it a little bit of a length so I have something to deal with, and then because it'll come off of this end, I hook an end on so that this one won't come off. It's looking really pretty in person. You may not be able to tell on there, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, and then I bought this. It is item 35316. If you can see that. And this is some pinks. Thought that was really pretty. You see how I could add some of this into this. Things of it. Ooh, I like that. And I'll probably use a floral pick to hook these to better together when I go to hook them in. Yeah, I'm liking that. And I've got one more, and I can do. And there we go. Hopefully you have enjoyed this tutorial, and I will post pictures of it on the door so that you can see it better. I apologize if the lighting is a little off. Turn this off, see if that's better. It really looks pretty in person. I'm really satisfied with it. So, hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you guys next week.